is up, everybody?
Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, where we take your mind a mile higher. And today on episode 78, we are talking about unsolved medical mysteries. Super interesting stuff, you guys. I think you're going to find this very fascinating. And I think this is an episode that we might even be able to do like a part 2 or part 3 or like make a series out of.
There's infinite
endless
amounts
stuff
of like just unexplained medical shit. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been on a medical kick lately. Like when we were moving houses, we watched a ton of YouTube videos about a lot of these that just like blew our minds. We're like, this is crazy that people are living with a lot of these things. And
specifically, we were watching Barcroft. It's an interesting YouTube channel. I think it's out of the UK, but tons of the people that are on there are super inspiring and have these crazy medical things going on that, you know, just
it's wild
really
stuff too.
Significantly
this is like
impact their lives.
It's stuff that you won't even be able to believe that exists. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really insane stuff. But we'd also like to thank our sponsors for today. That is FleurStamps.com, Upstart, and Honeybook.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now let's get into the woke news.
Yes. So this kind of broke just today as we're about to record this. So we haven't gotten all the information that's out there, and obviously things will keep coming out.
There's going to be more by the time you guys hear this for sure.
But we haven't even talked about this at all since this story sort of broke a little while back with Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire.
It kind of broke while we were moving, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago is when this all started with him as far as being indicted and arrested and all that kind of thing. This has just been an absolutely crazy story, and all of the information that's coming out from people that were women that were, basically abused and put into sex trafficking because of this guy is just, it's honestly unthinkable what he did. And, if you don't really know that much about it, it's very, very dark, sick stuff. I mean, it's. I
think most people don't know that much about it because it's not like they're talking about the details of it on the mainstream media. They might talk about Jeffrey, but are they talking about what's going on?
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing is they like to jump on the headlines like as the news first breaks. So the news that just broke, an hour or two ago is that he has died. He offed himself in his jail cell.
We'll see. Yeah. We don't know for sure though. That's what they're saying is it's suicide, but we're not sure.
No, I mean, we've heard multiple stories as to what has happened to him. And I mean, there was a previous suicide attempt not that long ago in which, they put him on suicide watch. And basically the story that's being sort of presented right now is that he was taken off suicide watch and then he, committed suicide today or last night in his cell. I guess hanging is what he did. But a lot of people aren't buying that and are really confused as to why he was quote unquote taken off suicide watch.
That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you take him off?
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, this person is awaiting this huge trial where they would likely want to not go through it and very well could kill themselves, has already tried to.
Right.
And they're like a high profile person.
Yeah,
I don't understand why you would take them off suicide watch. That sounds like some bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was in general. So when the suicide attempt happened, he was in general pop and he had he had an actual roommate or cellmate with him.
Which is also weird.
Which is weird for such a high profile that they wouldn't keep him in solitary straight off the bat.
Didn't they even keep Chris Watts in solitary?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, people hate anyone who's involved with child pornography, child pedophilia,
child sex trafficking, all that
human
stuff.
trafficking, all that. I mean, they don't do well in jail, man. People find out about that, and I mean, you can get murdered. Tons of things can happen to you in there.
Oh yeah.
So why on earth would he be in there in general population?
I don't know, man.
That just sounds sketchy too.
Yeah, it's very weird. And I mean, if he was in general pop and then he, went on suicide watch, why did they already take him off that so quickly? Because I also read that it's actually pretty hard to get off suicide watch once you're on it, especially for a high profile person like this.
So soon.
And then it has to be like approved by all these people. And
it's been less than a month.
It hasn't been that long at all.
No.
And, all of a sudden he's taken off, put back, and he apparently hangs himself when in fact he was just in a cell that was being watched all the time and monitored. And yet also we haven't seen any actual like jail footage because there should be cameras watching this guy all the time. So where's the footage? Right. No, they'll never show us the proof.
They'll make an excuse.
So It's really crazy though, man. I mean, if you don't know about a little back story on him, he's like 60, or he died at 66, and he's this really, really wealthy individual who has ties to pretty much all of the elite in America and even in, other parts of the world as well. Friends with Trump, friends with Prince Andrew, has met with the Clintons, and there's records of all these people being in contact with this guy. And one of the things that's just weird is he has this island in the Caribbean, and he has a private plane, and he takes people there, and the pilots that fly the planes have to keep flight logs. So we've seen flight logs, and it looks like families or the Clintons have been there 26 times, 27 times or whatever, to this island on his plane. So weird. And from what we know now about the island is there's literally people being kept there against their will. And this was a major hub for sex trafficking around the world. Like this guy is involved in some of the, deepest, darkest webs of criminals that are out there.
Well, because so many of these rings are just connected. It's one giant interconnected web that all leads back to like one place.
Right. So you bring people into the ring through Epstein's island, you entice people to go there and entice these women that they would essentially kidnap and bring there and, use or whatever. So it's crazy, man. I mean,
insane.
What sucks though, the last bit I'll say is that what sucks is that because he's quote unquote died, they cannot pursue the criminal investigation and trial and everything against him to really unearth the deep, dark criminal aspect of
it's a way of covering it up.
Exactly.
So who would want him to be dead so that this wouldn't come out?
People
who are involved with it. There's probably there's so many different people. We obviously don't know who it is, but there's so many different possibilities of people who would probably want to take him out. Just maybe not that they have anything against him, but
to
just
stop
him.
The investigation
to stop
trial,
the investigation and trial, which is insane. I mean, doesn't that make a lot of sense?
It really does. I mean,
there's more people
sense.
That's connected to it. That's why there's so many secrets that are just almost coming to the surface.
Yeah, and they're really high profile people, including politicians, royal family. There's huge implications in this investigation that to me feels like it's going to end up getting sort of covered up and buried because he's not around anymore, so they can't proceed with figuring out who all the people are involved in the criminal aspects of it. They're still proceeding with civil cases against him, but it's likely we won't actually see the gritty details of this craziness that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with. So I don't know. It's really crazy. And
I bet this is going to blow over really quick in the media.
Oh yeah. Well, look at all the other crazy shit that's happened lately.
I know.
All of that, the recent stuff in El Paso and Dayton, it's just, they talk about it for like a day or two, then it's gone. And then they move on to the next thing. And now it's this. And then in a day or two, tomorrow will be something else. So
God, what a shame.
But yeah, I mean, it's something that we all need to follow. And I'd love to know who's actually connected in all of this evil, quite frankly. That's what it is.
A lot of people. I mean, I think people would be shocked if they knew the amount of people that are probably involved.
I think it could flip our entire society and political system on its head. I mean, the amount of people that could be connected to it and could be responsible for really, really heinous shit is scary. It's really quite scary. It makes you not want to trust anybody or anything. At least for me, I'm
already making it known that it's a suicide too. They're not even leaving any time to investigate or anything.
Where's the proof? That's what I have to say. Where's the proof? You're not going to show us that? Who gives a shit? Back in the day, they used to do justice way differently, where it was a public thing and everybody knew what happened to these people that do these types of acts. And now we don't see anything. Well,
the general population just doesn't care or doesn't know, doesn't understand it, isn't aware. And it's really not their fault because they don't talk about like I said, what he's actually doing, Right. So I don't think I've seen some, understand.
They're kind of starting to interview some of the women that were, involved with it and stuff. And they're starting to spill some stuff. But I mean, as far as the people that are financing this organization, and I mean, Jeffrey Epstein is extremely, extremely wealthy. His house in Manhattan was worth $77 million. I mean, he's like a billionaire. So he's got the amount of money and power he has and probably people at his disposal that are working to,
that he can
pay off
Yeah.
and cover this up is just insane. So is it a cover up, or is this, is what we're getting the news on? Is that what's the real story is? I mean, I guess it's too early to know now, but we'll have to wait and see. So the next thing I wanted to talk about,
this is so interesting.
Changing directions here back into the medical world, is that tattoos are actually good for your health. They've been doing studies on this, which is really interesting. And they found that getting multiple tattoos comes with an unexpected bonus, a significant boost to the immune system, which is really cool.
I was blown away by this. This is so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things like I feel like there's been this stigma, and I know by my parents and things like that who have, they used to tell me like, no, you can't get a tattoo because it's unsafe, and that, you're going to get all these illnesses.
Well, it's also in the Bible,
clean.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
like, thou shalt not mark thyself or something. That's not what it says, or something like that.
Close.
Wait, look it up, Janelle.
No,
what does it say in the Bible about tattoos?
No, it's about your body is a temple of God, essentially.
Your body. Oh yeah, your body's a temple.
So you don't want to alter it. But I know so many Christians that have tattoos. It's not even funny. Like
like cross tattoos and Bible verses.
Oh, totally. Tons of Christians have tattoos. So, I don't really, because there's no. It's not like in the Bible. It's like, you shall not get tattoos on thy skin. It doesn't say tattoos out. Even though that was probably a thing back then, which is crazy.
Yeah.
If you think about it in Bible times, I'm sure there's people with tattoos. No, it says you shall not make your flesh for the dead, nor tattoo any marks. No, we can't hear that, but
Leviticus 19:28.
Here, let me read it. Here.
Oh, Josh,
I'm gonna make an edit.
This is why she needs a mic, dude.
Yeah, you have no mic. I put it in the little chat. It's of Leviticus 18:10.
Leviticus. That's a fun section of the Bible. Leviticus. There's some crazy stuff in Leviticus. I did research for this one video like 5 years ago, and I remember looking up a bunch of Leviticus
you want to read some really interesting stuff. The Old Testament of the Bible is very interesting.
Isn't it pretty wild?
There's some wild shit in there, but the verse that we were talking about is Leviticus 19:28, which says, "You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor tattoo any marks on you. I am the Lord." Really, it says tattoos. What version is this? This must be some new international shit. Because if you didn't know, they actually update the Bible with versions. They continue to update it to sell more so that the language actually can appeal to people. So that's if you go to King James, look up the King James version. I'm pretty sure that version has stayed the same for a long time versus the new versions that come out. Isn't that interesting? They kind of update the Bible and change it and tweak it.
I know. They should release like a 2019 version though. Like shit's changed a lot.
Right. I mean, they do change some of the wording in it and stuff.
Why doesn't someone make a new Bible that's interpreted in 2019 lingo for
There probably is, honestly. There's probably people that have taken breaking it down. But that's but then people argue the Bible is so open to interpretation that which way is the right way to interpret it at the end of the day. And people are going to make the claim that their interpretation of the Bible is the correct way to translate it in a sense, So it's kind of all over the place. Everybody can make up their own thing.
Right.
So back to the tattoos. Basically, they gave a bunch of people tattoos and they did a study. Apparently, there is an antibody called the immunoglobulin A, as well as the presence of a stress hormone, cortisol. So they actually measured this and then found that your body invokes a stronger immune response.
So it basically,
after you have multiple tattoos.
You release cortisol. You get higher cortisol levels when you get
and your
tattoos.
body's able to show a better response. It builds up a better response.
Interesting.
And fight. I mean, it makes sense. It really makes sense. You are, creating a wound essentially on you.
Yeah. It says after such a stress response to the body, it returns to a set equilibrium. Even after receiving multiple tattoos. Yeah. Which are repeated stressors.
Right. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So you
suggests the immune system strength continues strengthening from more and more tattoos too.
So somebody that's heavily tattooed probably has a better immune system.
Better
than
defense
those
against
that don't.
Ordinary cold.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm curious to know, any of you guys out there that are heavily tattooed, would you say that your immune system is stronger than, say, some of your friends that may not be as tattooed?
How many tattoos do you have now?
I have 1, 2.
I think I have 7.
3. I have 4.
I
4
think I have
tattoos.
7
4
or
decent
8.
sized tattoos. Yeah.
7. I'm pretty sure I have 7.
And
Yeah.
honestly, my immune system's pretty good.
Mine's all right. You were sick like last week.
Yeah,
though,
but
bro.
I never
You
get
had a
sick, and I
fever.
bounced back like that though.
You did.
My body, like as soon as
But
I
a
get
lot of
sick,
people were
bounces
saying
back.
that maybe it was the flu that you had, but because you have a good immune system, that you
True.
weren't so significantly impacted. Because you had like 101 fever, and
Yeah, and I haven't had that in a long time.
no,
So.
not in years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, I don't get like major things anymore. I don't seem to get like pneumonia,
True.
but I do get little things. I get like little colds and viruses all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're like really tatted up, let us know how your immune system is.
Yeah, like if you got multiple sleeves.
I mean, does it last forever though? Like, is it just for a little bit after you get the tattoo though? Or
Well, I don't think they've been enough like
Yeah.
time researching that to say.
it's really
but,
interesting though. Yeah, they definitely don't have enough.
but this is
stuff to
great
really say
information to
that.
take to those that want tattoos, and maybe your like parents are against it, and be like, hey,
Mhm.
look at this. It actually
Yeah.
improves my immune system,
Mhm.
by getting these tattoos, which is cool. I think everybody should have the right to get tattoos, and it's
For
stupid.
sure.
The next
Although
thing,
I saw this girl, dude, yesterday, remember on Twitter, I saw this girl getting a tattoo above her eyebrow
Oh,
that
yeah.
said, suck my dick. And she was like, I swear she was like 19. And she had braces and she was wearing a
saw that too,
Nickelodeon
yeah.
t-shirt.
yeah,
And she was like, suck my dick. And he was like huge right above her eyebrow. And
Oh
you know
my
what? That's her right, man. And I support her right to do that though.
oh yeah,
You go, girl.
totally.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine like going to a family event and it says suck my dick, like talking to your grandparents?
I mean, she could just cover it with some makeup though. She probably will do that a lot. I'm sure that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people do.
That's
Cover up their
crazy.
tattoos. But I was just gonna say that I support tattoos in the workplace.
Oh,
Just
me too.
FYI.
Absolutely.
I think
I'm
it's
planning to get
stupid.
more tattoos. I think it's like,
You've never worked at a company that was like cover up your tattoos, huh?
no, honestly though, I wasn't planning on getting as many tattoos or really getting any when I was going to be a teacher. And then as soon as I was becoming a
Right, it
YouTuber, I
doesn't
was
matter.
like, I'm just
Fuck
going to
it.
get as many as I want
You
now.
can do whatever.
Yeah, it sucks that you have to consider that though.
Yeah.
But I think, life is short. You only get one body. Why not mark it up how you want to? It's your life. Like,
Yeah, it's your canvas, man. Like,
Yeah.
You do what you want with it.
that's how I feel about it too.
I think tattoos really enhance.
it makes people
the
more
beauty.
interesting to look at
Yeah.
too.
Totally.
Some people like you see their tattoos and it's so beautiful. It's like they are
Yeah.
literally a walking piece of art. And it's
100%.
cool. Like when you're talking to them, you're always checking out something new on their body that's going on,
It's also just a way to express yourself
Mm-hmm.
and allow you to like kind of show who you are to the rest of the world, because they look at your tattoos and they start,
Mm-hmm.
you may know understanding or maybe not understanding different things that you have. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least if you looked at mine, you'd be like, I understand, Josh. That makes sense. Same
Yeah,
with
a little
you,
bit.
pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The next thing I wanted to talk about is a deadly brain virus in Florida that mosquitoes are carrying. This is scary. And it's really only found in remote areas, but things aren't getting as remote as they used to be anymore. So, this is a nasty virus that mosquitoes are carrying that will literally swell your brain and kill you. It's a fatal virus that is in southern
Jeez,
Florida right
that's
now.
horrible.
So they're worried though, because these things are starting to, as we infringe on nature and expand into ecosystems and habitats, like we're coming closer with mosquitoes. Like we have mosquitoes here.
Yeah.
You have to worry about some of these mosquitoes in these areas carrying these viruses.
Yeah, it's really scary.
We've had tons of them in the past, but this one is particularly nasty. It's called EEEV. It's a rare brain infecting virus.
Makes your brain swell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's gnarly.
Severe fatal brain swelling in just a matter of days.
Man,
So then-
that's scary.
Can you imagine dying from your brain? Like
Yeah.
your head gets really big. It's almost like a balloon.
No, it doesn't. You don't know that.
It could. It could.
Don't listen to Josh, guys.
No,
He
it
doesn't know
could.
what he's talking about.
It definitely could.
I don't think your head
I
pops.
mean, I think you would die long before it would
yeah,
pop.
I'm sure,
Clearly.
honestly, it's probably not even that much swelling. Like, it may not be, but like even a tiny bit of swelling in the brain is enough to fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably doesn't
Well, yeah.
even look different on the outside. Maybe you don't even know that it's happening.
Yeah. Doesn't change
Your
what's happening.
skull
though.
doesn't change.
Yeah, but your skull doesn't encompass your whole head. You shit could pop out of different areas that, it's not like solid. Have you ever looked at like a skeleton?
What are you talking about right now?
No, have you ever looked like a human skeleton? Like there's areas where it's just fleshy, it's not like there's skull everywhere, right? Or am I wrong?
Wait, are you?
There could be patches of, I don't know.
According to Josh, there's some soft spots still. From when you're born, that soft spot, it's still there. So don't touch too hard anywhere, guys.
Hang on.
Well, this is interesting. It says that unfortunately, mosquito-borne illnesses will likely spread further into human-populated areas as our planet continues to heat up through climate change. So fucking
that's a great
sucks.
point. Mm-hmm. No, it's true, and that's why this is. Can you imagine like a whole area, like a whole population of people getting just hit by this mosquito virus? Especially this makes it like everybody's head started swelling if they got bit. That's crazy.
It's their brain swelling.
No, I know it's their head basically. Head can be referred to as brain.
Well, that's really scary because it's only going to get worse. So that means more of these illnesses are going to come.
Yep. It's only going to expand into more populated areas.
So how are they going to deal with this?
That's a good
Do they
question.
have a plan about how they're going to make sure that everyone's brains don't swell?
Lots of mosquito repellent. Like
it's a shit plan.
It's
man.
crazy though. Like this is the things we have to worry about. On top of the climate warming up, we got to worry about mosquito illnesses that could do some major damage. So I don't know. It's crazy. So watch out if you're in Southern Florida. That's for sure. Because it's out there, and you know, if you go into some of these rural areas or swampy areas, man, it's very possible you could get bit by this.
Bring your lemongrass with you.
Yeah,
Keep those
lemongrass
away.
and mosquito repellent are necessary for sure. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about news-wise was Mr. Bernie Sanders, the senator running for president, was on Joe Rogan's podcast this week. And he had some interesting things to say at the end of their interview. Of course, Joe is a definitely fan and interested in UFOs and aliens and all that good stuff. So, of course, before they wrapped up the interview, he had to ask them about it. And it's just a quick little bit. This is what he said. Yeah, I don't know anything about the topic, really. Just straight up. And
yeah, I'm sure he doesn't.
No, that's so untrue, though. That's very untrue. And Tom DeLonge came out and tweeted, Tom DeLonge from To the Stars. He came out and said that, yes, many senators have been briefed on unidentified aerial phenomena. If they say that they don't know anything about the subject, they are A, either lying, or B, they need to be given the briefing. But there's a strong group that now know how enormous and unnerving this issue is. So that's interesting. So, he's been read into a lot of this stuff because of his company and who he works with. So, he probably does know to some extent which senators actually know about the topic. So he's kind of insinuating that Bernie Sanders could be lying. He probably does know something about this and he just flat out lied.
Yeah.
It's possible he doesn't or hasn't been read in. But for somebody that's been in politics for as long as he has, like that was something that Joe brought up was like, dude, you've been in politics your entire life. You've never, ever been asked to like brief or read a briefing on UFOs or anything. And he's
but
just
maybe
like,
he hasn't.
Maybe not.
How much are they telling them?
No, maybe not.
We don't really know.
But, Tom went on to say, To the Stars Academy has been instrumental in setting up those briefings. I know of this firsthand and directly. Do not let any senators running for the office of presidency act like they know nothing about UFOs. God. So specifically, like if you're running for presidency, like you've probably seen the briefing.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah, it's probably true.
But then lastly, Tom said, finally, respect the issues that are classified in those briefings. There's plenty that we can discuss with the American people that is not classified. I do agree with keeping secrets to help our troops and our country stay safe. So the biggest thing...
there's a lot that needs to be told.
Yeah, and you remember how he was talking about like the subject and how it's an unnerving... Like it's a scary issue. Like it's a national security issue.
Yeah.
And he seems like it could be a very negative...
Right. Tom's always kind of had that
to the UFO alien thing, which is interesting. That's much different than a lot of other people in this world who believe the opposite, and I don't know. It's really hard to know what to think anymore about the whole UFO thing, other than we have to just kind of wait and see what happens because we really don't know what's going to happen with it. And everybody can say whatever they want to say. But again, at the end of the day, I need to see him. Like I need to see this firsthand and really in order to fully 100% believe it, it's hard because I 100% believe that UFOs are real for sure.
Right. Oh, I do too. I mean,
But
I think
like,
there's
what
plenty
is
of evidence.
behind it?
What are they though?
Right. What are they and what's
Yeah,
behind
what's
it?
going on? Yeah.
It's-
That's what no one knows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much do senators actually know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been briefed to a lot of at least what we know.
Right.
You would think that they would know as much as what we know about the topic.
I doubt they tell them that much. You know?
Really?
There's a lot of them.
They have
all of them have that information.
100%. They have clearances for a reason. All these people have security clearances.
So do you think Trump has been filled in?
To some extent, I think he has. Sure.
Well, how come
But I think when they have the briefing, they're very specific about what they tell them, and then they also tell them that you can't say you cannot say any of this stuff. Like, you can't come out and say it.
Well, yeah, and that might be so, actually. That actually is believable. Because, I mean, would you want to be, like, shot if you said something? Or, like, I mean, who knows what they threaten you with?
Or if you're trying to, if you're a successful career politician and you finally make it to the level of running for presidency, that's a whole, other tier of being, a government official. So, it makes sense that, like, maybe up until that point, you might know very little about it unless you're, like, on one of the committees or whatever.
Right.
But once you're going into this higher echelon of, American politics, I think that's when kind of that world opens up to you more. Because I think absolutely Obama and past presidents know more than what they've said about the issue. 100%. Because it's interesting. And like Andrew Yang, he was like, if I become president, I'll tell everybody what the secrets at Area 51 are,
It'd be cool to see him get in there and get to be president.
It would be cool to see that. But I don't know, man. I don't think anybody like him could be put into the government. I just don't think they would allow that.
No.
So
who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who really knows? It's so early.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into unexplained medical mysteries, because this is some wild stuff. But before we do, we'd like to thank our first sponsors for today.
So we all know that scent is actually normally tied to memories. There are so many memories in my childhood where I associate specific smells of like soap or food with a memory. And there's this one soap that every time I smell it, I don't know what kind of soap it is, but when I smell it, I always know that it reminds me of this beach house I used to go to as a kid in the summer, and it reminds me of my grandparents and just brings me right back. So I wanted to talk about Fleur and how you can create some special memories with their perfect fragrances. So Fleur is different than most fragrances on the market today. All of their products are hypoallergenic, cruelty-free, vegan, and sustainably sourced with recycled materials, which is why we love Fleur. All of their scents have different notes that are part of nature. So it really brings you back to the earth. And we also love that as earth signs over here. Their fragrances smell amazing. They're very clean. They're very bright. They all are very different. My personal favorite is Greylock. It's actually kind of a blend of my two favorite things, the mountains and the ocean. It's a blend of pine and sea. What we also love about Fleur is it can be used by anyone. It is gender neutral, so male and females can use this. We love how transparent Fleur is. They list all their ingredients. There's no sketchiness behind the brand at all. It's very upfront. So make new scent memories today with Fleur. Go to fleur.com today and use the code MILEHIGHER to get 20% off your first Fleur sample set. You can pick 3 scents to try and then get credit towards 1 full-size bottle of your favorite. That's code MILEHIGHER at fleur.com and your first 3 Fleur fragrance samples for 20% off. So that's PHLUR.com.
So if you've ever owned your own business, you know that it can be a ton of fun, but sometimes it can be a lot of work because you're having to do almost everything on your own. And sometimes it can be extremely hard to get through your to-do list. I know for me personally, I oftentimes struggle to get through my to-do list because I cannot stay organized, it seems like. What's awesome is that we're in the modern age of technology, and there is now some software that is there to help you with running your business. So HoneyBook is an online business management tool that organizes your client communications, bookings, contracts, and invoices all in one place, which is really helpful because it's so easy to not keep track of those things and get them lost like I have in the past, and having them all in one place just makes it extremely simple and helps your business run better. HoneyBook makes running your business simple because they provide you with professional templates, e-signatures, and built-in automation, which keeps everything on track and makes you look good because we all want to look good. They can even consolidate services you already use like QuickBooks, Google Suite, Excel, and MailChimp or Gmail, which is super interesting because I use all of those products actually, and it allows you to tie them all together in one place instead of having to go to each of the individual applications each time to access different documents and information. It's the #1 choice for client and business management for freelancers and business owners. Save time and do more of what you love with HoneyBook. And right now, HoneyBook is offering our listeners 50% off your first year with promo code MileHigher. Payment is flexible, and this promotion applies whether you pay monthly or annually. Go to honeybook.com and use promo code MileHigher for 50% off your first year. That's honeybook.com, promo code MileHigher. So let's talk about some medical mysteries. There's some really just interesting stuff out there. The first story I wanted to talk about happened pretty recently. And that's where dentists pulled out more than 500 teeth from a 7-year-old boy's mouth.
This is honestly the craziest story.
It really is.
It's really crazy.
It's scary almost, really, when you think about what it was. So essentially this boy, an Indian boy, was taken to the hospital because he had major swelling in his lower right jaw. Like it was swelled up bad. And then when the doctors looked at it, they did an x-ray and CT scan, and they revealed that he had this like bag-like structure in his mouth, like tissue, like a tissue sac with literally 526 teeth in it.
Just like sitting it.
Like the whole thing though, like root, like the whole, it was like bizarre.
Yep.
They've never seen anything like this before. It was almost like a tumor, or it was really a tumor that grew over time in this boy's mouth.
It's so weird. Why would a body do that?
Well, this is what's so interesting about this is that they think there could be a connection to them being so close to cell towers.
Oh.
He lives next to, they live really close to cell towers. And they think that the radiation from like a young age over the years could cause these types of like tumor growths and, you know, strange just medical things that happen, conditions that come about. So
the tumor put off all these teeth.
It's bizarre. They don't know why.
They don't understand it.
They don't know why.
That is the weirdest thing.
They think genetics could be a part of it. But they essentially had to do like full blown surgery on this guy, this poor kid. 5 hours to remove all the teeth from the sack because they were in all different sizes and everything. It looked like pearls in an oyster. Even the smallest piece had a crown, root, and an enamel coating it.
It's so fucking strange. This makes no sense. Why would your body do this?
I mean, sometimes I think just like the genetics that, you know, during the process of reproduction just go crazy.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but then this is just so weird.
But I 100% think that there's something external affecting this.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if they noticed anything when he was like first born, like how long it's been filling with teeth. 500 teeth. How many teeth do we have in our mouths? Like 24?
So
28?
Adults have 32 and most children have 20. How many did you just say?
24.
32.
32.
So they brought him down to 21 teeth, which is pretty normal for a kid.
5 fucking hundred.
And it like fucked up his molar growth because it was literally sitting right here on the side of his mouth. And then, you know, when he gets older, like in his teen years, he's going to have to go get implants because it completely stunted the growth. Like it was a sack, literally.
Gross.
There's pictures of it online. And it's like this nasty like tissue sack.
Disgusting sack.
It's really gross. But yeah, the doctors and researchers there at this hospital are like, we're going to start looking into the environment.
I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah, look it up.
I kind of want to now. I've been avoiding looking it up, but
it's I can't remember if there was a picture of it.
Tooth sack 500.
Look up Indian boy, I think is how you find it. But the fact that they're actually taking this seriously and pointing towards, you know, mobile phone towers having an effect on this child and radiation that it produces is really scary and to think about. And I think it's very possible there is a link between the cell towers and this boy's strange tumor he had. Yeah, that's what they pulled out of there. It's craziness. Yeah, it's wild, man.
That is weird. Oh my
It is wild.
Gosh. Yeah, it is like a sack. Oh my gosh. Yeah, some of them are tiny. I mean, it's not like 500 full grown teeth.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of them are really, really small. Like pearls, like little pebbles.
Crazy.
Wow. Why? God, that's
Radiation, man.
gnarly.
Radiation could definitely cause something like that.
Dude, that is sick.
Well, like we've
Poor
seen with the
kid.
other, when we talked about the whole 5G thing and
Yep.
cell towers in the past, and how cell towers next to places where humans reside can affect them and create tumor growth.
So
from the
there's a
radiation.
website that people can go to. What's that website? Like, I'm going to look it up.
Oh, the to look up cell towers around you?
Find 5G towers near me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. And unfortunately, it's already being rolled out to a lot of people. Because, the 5th generation of wireless technology is just going to blanket the entire planet pretty much in some form of radiation.
So you go to www.emf/expert or -experts.com/cell tower.
I mean, there's a lot of sites, but that's one of them. Yeah. So you can look up what's around you.
So, yeah. Interesting.
Because, I mean, the people that are going to get those 5G
Yeah.
towers the first are obviously the big cities are going to have them
Yep.
first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're going to have to be careful about the radiation thing for sure.
There's so many things we have to be careful about. I mean, technology presents a lot of issues. It helps with so many things, but I mean, it's just such a double-edged sword. We've talked about it so many times, but it truly is.
It is. It really is. And I think we're just going to have to find, as problems arise, we're going to have to figure out ways to get to solve them.
Yeah, because
and
we can't
protect
have people
ourselves.
with 526 teeth rolling around. Like, that's just not a good situation.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
wonder if it really is caused by that. That's so crazy.
I think that genetics are a part of it too, that sometimes there's just weird genetic things that happen. But
Yeah.
I think that the radiation definitely didn't help and could have
makes it worse,
accelerated
yeah.
the growth of the tumor even to get
Definitely
it
could
that
be.
bad that fast, because he's just a young boy at this point. So
this next one is really bizarre. Water allergies.
yeah.
We watched something about someone who had a water allergy recently. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
This girl, she developed it after she was pregnant, actually. And this happens to some women after they give birth. They'll develop a allergy to water. Can you
The
imagine
very
being...
thing that makes up us.
Yeah.
A lot of us.
They get these bizarre like rashes. They can their skin can shed. You can get like welts. And God, this one woman had to get in the shower and go fast. She's like, you can't relax in there. You have to go quick. And then dry off as soon as she gets out. She can't go outside for risk of the rain. So she goes out sometimes, but if there's any chance of rain, she doesn't go out. She can't go to the pool with her kids anymore. She's this new baby and she, so bizarre. And so I guess some people are born with this too, but
It's unknown what causes it. We have no idea.
that
It's some
is
type
so
of response
strange.
from the skin.
I mean, imagine how, I wonder when she drinks water or if people, when they drink water who are allergic to it, have issues.
It's
that's just
skin.
insane.
It's on the skin. It's a skin thing.
Okay, so they can still
It's
drink
the
it, but
response of the skin that makes the pain pain that they feel and the
extreme
itchiness.
sensitivity to the ions in the water.
Because I mean, you can't survive without water.
No.
You can't drink water. You're in bad
You're not
shape.
gonna last very
So
long. No. Wow, that is really inconvenient. You can't wash your hands. Think about all the ways that you use water every day. It's just really weird to think about not being able to touch water.
yeah, didn't she couldn't go swimming with her kid
No.
because she can't be in the water for that long. It'd
No.
be extremely painful, or even I think it could even be so bad that it puts the body in a shock. It completely shocks the body, and you can die from going into shock and stuff.
Yeah,
I
I'm
believe
sure it
so.
varies in severity, but it says it's a super rare condition. It's known medically as aquagenic urticaria. Urticaria?
Yeah, was first described in 1964. So known of it for a while, but I think it's
That's not even that long.
Pretty
1964
rare.
is the first case.
where it was
the first-
kind of recorded and
medical.
oh shit, we got.
But still, that's
something
really
here.
not that long ago.
No, it's
Interesting.
not. It's really bizarre. So the next thing is called chimeric people. So imagine going for genetic tests along with your children, only to find that you can't possibly be their biological mother, despite the fact that you gave birth to them.
That makes no sense.
Yeah,
What?
right? So let me go through that again. So you're the biological mother of the kids, and you gave birth to them, yet they're not biologically yours.
Yeah, and how can that possibly
Right.
be unless you were in planted with a surrogate baby.
So yeah, this has actually happened to a few people around the world. It turned out that the mother was a chimera, a mix of two individuals. She was a composite of two non-identical twins that had fused in their mother's womb.
That is the most wild shit.
That's wild.
So if you don't understand that, it's when two twins in the womb became like one person, but the mother never knew that they were twins, always thought it was just one person, but it's literally two people in the same body. So it's kind of like conjoined twins, but there's not multiple body parts, but there's
it's one body
people in there kind of.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't find out until you're giving birth because the baby's like from the other half of you. Like what? That is
it's
so
bizarre.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Chimeric people.
Yeah, we really don't know, how common they are. But with the rise of fertility treatments and genetic testing, more chimeras are likely to be created and discovered. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so wild. With IVF and all these, crazy different ways to conceive and things like that now and have children. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, this woman found out when she needed a kidney transplant. So she underwent genetic testing with her family to see if any of the other family members could donate to her. But when she did that, she found out that she wasn't even a genetic mother of her own sons, who were like grown adults at that point.
That's so weird.
She's like, can you imagine being told that? I'd be like, what? That is so unreal.
That's really bizarre. God, that's crazy. Can't even imagine that. That's just so wild.
It really is.
It's a mix of two individuals.
Yeah.
There's just so much crazy stuff. That's wild.
Fused together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So this other thing, foreign accent syndrome.
This is so crazy. People just waking up with strong accents from random places, even though they've never been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was basically, they used to say it was some type of psychological disorder, but now it's thought to be a neurological one, which comes about when a stroke or injury damages the part of the brain associated with speech.
Wow.
So it's, it usually occurs after, something happens to the individual, then they just wake up all of a sudden, they're able to speak a totally different language, essentially an accent, perfect, without ever having spoke it before.
That's really similar to that one guy who, I'm just going to have to look him up. I did a video about this guy that he basically was at a bar and he got in a fight, and then so he got hit in the head really, really hard. And when he woke up in the hospital, he was able to do like insane math.
Right.
And he like wasn't really that smart at all. He was like actually like failing a bunch of his stuff and never tried in school, never cared. And then he just woke up as a mathematician, able to draw these like crazy things. And there's other cases of people with that have the accent thing.
So what's actually happening there?
I don't know. Like it's like you're tapping into something or like hitting, like I've heard strokes or brain injuries are like waking up an area in your brain. What if you're like tapping into like a part of your past life consciousness that's like stored in your brain?
Could be. Because it could be something like that.
There are people that get there's a word for it. Janelle, will you look it up? Like people get they'll all of a sudden be able to play the piano like insanely well or speak French, like a language they've never heard. And it's very similar to this accent thing. There's a name for it. It's like something like affluent or I don't know.
Apple?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. But no, I was just saying, so what is actually happening there? Past lives is one thing. Yeah. Could it be waking up the brain or whatever?
Yeah.
Or is it, because it's really weird that why would you have all of this knowledge that's like perfect to, knowledge that you use on a daily basis. So it means that either it was prior, it was there prior in your head stored, or as you go through life, all the information that you're taking in is going into like some other memory bank. And like maybe when one of these things happens, like your brain sort of rewires itself to a different memory bank in a sense. And, or not a memory bank, but like a data storage, somewhere where all of, everything about who you are and what your life is gets rerouted to a different part that slightly changes things. like maybe, this could even be.
It's called savant syndrome. Savant syndrome, actually.
Savant
savant.
syndrome.
I called it savant in my video, and people are like, it's savant.
Yeah.
Savant syndrome. Yeah, this guy all of a sudden was good at classical music, like overnight. This guy learned to sculpt. After seeing only a few images of animals on TV, he could sculpt a nearly perfect 3D figure of it.
Right, but after
a head injury.
Head injuries, so injuries that
an
happen
accident.
to the brain.
Yep.
So it's all after some type of trauma happens to the head.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's weird.
It's very
that people
strange.
can just all of a sudden be an expert of something when, they feel like they never actually remotely looked at that thing before.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I think that there's some type of rewiring. I mean, it's crazy to think about. We don't even understand this, and we don't understand even how the brain works exactly, or how we're pulling different bits of information. Like I brought up like a little while back. Where do thoughts come from? Like, where do we get these thoughts? And where does consciousness come from?
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what all this is consciousness. So I don't know. It's really bizarre. So this next condition is called Morgellons disease, and the symptoms of this are stuff of nightmares. People who have this have said that fibers start growing out of itchy lesions accompanied by a biting, crawling sensation. That sounds disgusting and awful. And literally the person feels like they're being attacked by a parasite.
Ugh, that's so awful.
I think that's like everybody's worst.
Dude, I would never wish this on my worst
crawling
enemy.
On you?
Oh, I hate that. When I was a kid, I went through this major fear of like red ants being in my bed. I don't know why, but I was like terrified of being bit by red ants at my feet at the end of my bed. I like always imagined that they were there. I'd constantly have to like pull the covers. Like I felt like they were on me all the time because we like had a little run in with red ants when I was a kid. And then after that, I was like super scared that they were on my feet all the time. And I could feel them. I can't imagine like, and then this actually, you do have lesions. That's gross.
Yeah. Fibers growing out of them too. So
that
things
is
growing out.
Sick.
This sounds like really bad.
Yeah.
Really awful. I mean, I've definitely been laying in bed sometimes, and like, I think it's when I'm kind of halfway between being awake and being asleep, where, sometimes you jolt awake or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I do feel like there's like creepy crawlies on me, or I'll like look down and smack my skin because I think there's a bug on my skin or something.
Yes.
There might be a bug on my skin.
Yeah.
In our house, but there's usually not. So it's just like weird little crawling sensations and biting. Feeling like a parasite's on you. That's crazy. But thousands of people around the world have reported these symptoms and claim that they're suffering from this disease, which the cause of it is unknown. We don't know why why it even exists.
And doctors will just tell you you're suffering from delusional parasitosis.
Parasitosis, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That there's like sensations of crawling on or under the skin caused by parasites, despite there actually not being anything there. So it's like you're delusional, just making up this shit in your head.
Oh my gosh.
Which, I don't know, man. I guess you could and just make that up in your head. But the fact that there is like the physical lesions. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how many people actually have the lesions though, like the lesions all over the skin that are like itchy with
I don't know.
Shit growing out of it and stuff.
Oh, that's really gnarly. Oh, this one's really gnarly too. Okay. This is called putrid finger. This is so weird, dude. This guy pricked his finger, a 29-year-old man pricked his finger on a chicken bone 5 years before he started having symptoms. And then he started having this infection and it made him stink. This made him smell bad. And the infection was like all over his finger and it could be detected from across a large room. Like you could smell him from that far away.
Smell this finger.
Just completely intolerable. And the cause of infection could not be identified. And it didn't respond to any antibiotics, which is so disgusting.
God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they didn't know what was going on with it.
Yeah, they never figured it out either.
Or if it was like bacteria
it ended up healing. It cleared up on its own and he doesn't smell anymore. But they never figured out why or what
was causing
making
it
so nasty.
That's really weird
and gross.
Oh.
Pricked his finger in a chicken bone. So be careful with chicken
It
bones,
had to be,
friends.
yeah, it had to be some type of like tiny organism. It had to be something little like that would do that. That's like
so
eats away at your.
disgusting. I know there's so many people cringing out there right now. I feel ya.
Speaking of parasites, we've been kind of paranoid out here. We moved to a really like woodsy area, and there's like lots of plants and trees and stuff. And you know, we previously we lived in a really like plains suburbs. You know, there's not a lot of trees and stuff. So now we have to like there's all these
trees.
bugs out here.
Yeah,
and like we had like a little tick scare with Bernie the other night, worried that he might have a tick and stuff.
Yeah, he got some type of like a little tiny cut on his chest, and I think it turned into like an abscess. But we started freaking out because we thought there was a tick in there. Like we were looking it up, and we determined that it wasn't that. We're gonna bring him to the vet to like make sure it's
yeah, and make sure he doesn't need antibiotics for the abscess.
Yeah,
and stuff, so.
But we put some stuff on it last night. It already looks better. But yeah.
But we were like looking it up, and
gross.
if you've ever seen a tick on a dog or have experienced it looks disgusting. Like
I've never had a tick. I just remember when I'd go visit my aunt who lives in Rhode Island. You know, they live in like really foresty area. Like their house is like backed up, just tons of trees and shit. And when we would go play outside, she'd make us check our vaginas for ticks.
What?
Yeah, we'd have to check our armpits and our vaginas.
So you'd like what? Stick your hand down there and like feel around. What?
No, we would literally have a mirror and look down there.
What?
Yeah, because someone in her family like got one in their vagina one time. I guess it's because it's warm in there, yo. They like it.
How does it get down there in the first place though?
Because you like when you're a kid, I mean, you're like rolling around in the.
Yeah,
we were like outside playing, like doing dances and.
Yeah, and if you're like wearing a swimsuit running around or something,
yeah,
I guess it'd be kind of,
and I guess they like to go to like warm places like armpits,
they go in the folds of skin on dogs and stuff. Yeah,
that's why you gotta check your vagina.
Oh man, that's fucking awful.
Yeah, I know.
I
Isn't
can't
that
imagine
gross?
getting bit there because they bite and they suck your blood essentially.
Yeah, well they attach and then
up.
They fill up. But there's like multiple ways you can get rid of them. I think like I've heard you can put nail polish on them. Clear nail polish, and then it like hardens and they can't breathe and they come out. Or you can light their asses on fire, which I don't understand because how do you like
scares
not
them into it? I think.
No, I don't know.
No, you have to be careful. So I read all about this. You have to get tweezers and stuff and actually pull them off and make sure you don't like break them in the process.
Because the head can be stuck
if
there, right?
They can go into the skin, go down into it, and they're way harder to get out.
I've always heard you light them on fire. That's not right.
I'm not going to recommend that.
I thought you like heat them until they start like feeling burnt and then they leave. They hightail it out of there.
And burn your skin at the same time, flaming your skin.
I don't know.
Not only you get the tick removed, but now you have a 3rd-degree burn on your skin because you're lighting it on fire. No, I'm pretty sure you want to literally like get tweezers and like pull them out, like pop them out.
I read that you're supposed to do that, but
it's pretty disgusting though. Parasites are gross, man.
Can get rid of them.
Definitely. I'm all paranoid like going outside now, like wearing a hat and like looking up in the trees.
We're not even like that much.
No, it's not
like some of you that probably live like out there would think we're such babies.
Or in like actual forests and stuff. Yeah, we're not really in the forest at all. We just have trees around us.
Yeah, we didn't have trees before.
It's not that bad.
No. Speaking of trees though, next you're going to talk about the tree man. This is sad though. I feel so bad for this guy. There's multiple people that have this though.
Yes.
And it's basically where it's like a skin infection. Where
it's warts is what it is.
Yeah. I've seen it. They had it on an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. The tree guy.
Yeah, like your limbs, your fingers start turning into what looks like tree barks, but they're like these nasty warts.
Mm-hmm. That just get really enlarged and like combine. It's like an huge amount of them over time, and they don't stop. Like as much as you try to remove them and get rid of them, it just continues growing.
Yeah, because it's part of a rare mutation, right? This EVER1/EVER2 genes.
That's the mutation of that particular gene that causes it.
And these genes aren't even understood.
And it's this crazy disease, and there's really no cure for it. They have to kind of mitigate it and try to like keep it cut down, but it literally affects, all of your tips and feet and everything else, like turns into this really nasty, hard, wood-looking skin. It's crazy. Growth.
I can't imagine doing anything with that. I mean, how do you function?
You really don't. You can't function normally.
I've had really long nails on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I can think of that even remotely comes close to how.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Because you feel kind of you're really limited, even just with fake nails.
Well, you
I can't
can't
imagine
use your
how you feel
hands.
with this. He can't do anything though. He can't wipe his butt.
No, you can't.
He can't do anything. This poor man.
Yeah,
I
hands and
cannot
feet. That's crazy.
Imagine the pain too. I'm sure it does not feel comfortable. It probably smells.
Oh, it's probably horrible.
I'm
sure it's horrible. Can't even imagine living with this thing because this
really
is
bad.
It looks crazy.
So there's no cure for it. They can give them some treatment options to help kind of mitigate the symptoms, but there's no cure.
Yeah.
Unreal, dude.
Yeah.
That looks so painful.
It does.
So does it keep spreading past, can it get to the rest of your body?
I believe so. Yeah. I believe it can go up your arm. I believe it can completely take over your entire body. I'm pretty sure.
I wonder what his life expectancy
is. It's not great. I know that because there's no way. They don't know how to actually stop the growth of the warts or whatever they are. They don't know how to, they know how to maybe kind of slow it down and mitigate it, but they don't know how to.
And I guess they can do surgeries on it though.
Right. They do surgeries on it. Yeah. They can remove parts of it,
just grows back.
But it comes back. Yeah. So this next one is just crazy. The Stone Man Syndrome. But before we talk about that, we'd like to thank our last sponsors for today. So if you're like me, you're pretty busy. I mean, I never have time to do all the errands that I need to do. And one of those things that I never seem to have time to do is go to the post office just because of the time it takes to drive there and then wait in line and talk to somebody and finally drop off my packages. And because of the giant hassle of going to the post office and juggling all your packages, hoping not to drop and break anything, that's where stamps.com comes in. They are one of the most popular time-saving tools for small businesses. Stamps.com eliminates trips to the post office as well as saving you money with discounts that you can't even get at the post office. So why would you go when you can save money and print your postage online? Whether you're a small office or a business like I am, where I'm sending packages to customers as well as, fans, things like that, it can be a lot to juggle. And, I have a ton of packages or Amazon returns, all of us people shopping online these days, you got to ship that stuff back. And instead of having to go there and go through all that hassle, you can print out the postage at a discounted rate, often online on your computer. And right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. All you got to do is go to stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and then type in Mile Higher. That's stamps.com, click on the microphone and enter code Mile Higher to take advantage of that offer. As most of us have found out the hard way, including myself, getting into debt is easy, but getting out is hard, especially if your FICO score isn't great. Sky-high interest rates can make it incredibly hard for you to break out of that revolving debt cycle. Thankfully, now there's Upstart.com, the revolutionary lending platform that offers smarter interest rates to help you pay off high-interest credit card debt, which I know for me personally, if I had known about Upstart a few years ago when I was still digging myself out of credit card debt, I would have most definitely went and gotten an Upstart loan because of that smarter interest rate. Because if you don't have great credit, then you get slammed with very high interest rates, which may even put you into debt more than you already are. What's great about Upstart is they go beyond your traditional FICO score or credit score when assessing your actual credit worthiness. They actually reward you based on your education and job history in the form of a smarter interest rate, which is great. So they don't ding you on the credit part of the application. Upstart believes you're more than just a credit score. They make it fast, simple, and easy to check your rate in just a few minutes without affecting your credit score. The best part is that once the loan is approved, most people get their funds the very next business day, the next day, which is great. Over 200,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards, student loans, fund their wedding, or to make a large purchase. Free yourself from the burden of high-interest credit card debt by consolidating everything into one monthly payment with Upstart. See why Upstart is ranked number 1 in their category with over 300 businesses on Trustpilot, and hurry to upstart.com/milehigher to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and it won't affect your credit, which is the best part. That's upstart.com/milehigher. All right, so Stone Man Syndrome is a progressive genetic disorder that turns soft tissues into bone. over time, literally soft tissues in your body turn to essentially
I've watched
hard
videos
stone.
about people that have this, and it's incredibly sad.
It's crazy, man. So the ACVR1 gene found in bone, muscles, tendons, and ligaments regulates growth and development of those tissues and is normally responsible for turning cartilage into bone as children develop. However, mutations of this gene can allow ossification to go unchecked throughout a sufferer's life, even turning skeletal muscle into bone and causing joints to fuse together.
Wow. Okay. So basically this gene helps cartilage turn into bone. Like when
Right.
a baby's born, there's a lot of areas that are just cartilage, not bone yet.
Mm-hmm.
So this gene helps it turn into bone, but when it's mutated, it does this.
Turns soft
everything
tissue
else into bone too.
Mm-hmm.
That is
all
unreal.
soft tissue into bone. So you literally eventually just are
very
turn into a
sad.
rock solid piece of
You're
bone.
turning to stone. Yeah.
Literally. It's crazy, man. So there's
Wow. It occurs in 1 in 2 million people.
mm-hmm.
No treatment, no cure. Wow.
So,
They can try to remove the bone surgically, but still.
but then it can even create
Yeah,
more bone growth in the
so
area.
they're just
there's
trying to
nothing-
like
really
improve
nothing.
quality of life or like
if they can,
extend,
but there's
but
really nothing
man.
you can do.
God, it's so crazy how people get these just bizarro conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine if we have like a child and they have something like this. Like how insane. This takes over your whole life. Like you watch these videos of people who have these types of conditions that are this, this intense that it just, you can't live a normal life whatsoever. No. Like everything you do is different from the normal person, and I'm saying normal, but someone who doesn't have these challenges.
Right.
And just can you imagine like what it would be like every day to go through like trying to just brush your teeth or like put your shoes on is a struggle, like all these different things. It's unbelievable that people have to go through this.
Oh yeah, and we take so much for granted. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like our health we take for granted every day. Most of us do at least.
Yeah.
And
oh, definitely.
We don't even the thought doesn't even cross our mind what some other people that are alive have to deal with medically and just with their
these
bodies.
Bizarre things. It's just totally unfair, shitty luck of the draw type thing.
Yeah, it's whatever your belief system is might help provide a little explanation for you as to why this happens to people. But
on a more positive side, there's
maybe there's a reason
their soul
for it.
needs to go through this. Yeah. I understand that,
maybe
but
this
it's
is
just fucked up, man.
Right. For
it's
anybody.
so insane to
go
see
through
what
that.
people have to go through. And it definitely makes you think about your own life. Like I definitely don't have, my health isn't where I want it to be. And I have some complaints, some frustrations. I feel like I can improve, with medical, with doctors. I think they can help me. But like, I can't imagine being in a situation like this and seeing these people just make me feel so grateful to even have the body that I have. As frustrated as I get with it sometimes, like at least I'm not, covered in warts and I can use my hands. I mean, damn, some people just go through so much shit and then their attitudes are still so positive.
That's what I was
like
gonna say.
I'm telling you guys, go if you want to like be uplifted, just go to the Barcroft channel. It's BARCROFT. Yeah. It's like a UK channel. I don't know what it is, but I love this channel. There's so many people with disabilities on there, so many people with medical ailments.
Born Different is the series.
It's excellent. We've probably seen every single one. It's unbelievable. And the people on there are just so inspiring because they always have like the best attitudes. Like it's crazy. The people that end up with these things are always like the best people too.
Totally. I mean, that's the great thing about watching it is like, and just talking about this can kind of get down and you start like feeling bad that people have to deal with this stuff. But, as bad as it is for them, what's truly inspiring is just how mentally many of them are so positive and really take life for granted and live in the moment and really live the way that, is the right way to live in a lot of ways. Just live life to the fullest and, do the best that you can. I mean, that's really all you can do. And it really, it's definitely will uplift your spirits if you're, feeling down and stuff about your own life or your own situation. Like just go look at what some other people deal with and it really will give you some perspective for sure.
Yeah.
And be thankful for being healthy, like, again, I think so many of us take our health for granted.
For sure.
And, there's so many other things that happen to people. So this next one is, very bizarre. It's called the walking corpse syndrome, or Cotard's delusion. So this is a rare mental disorder in which a person sincerely believes he or she is missing body parts, even the brain, or is actually dead. This is crazy. And the people that suffer from this horrible syndrome tend to not eat or bathe, and they often spend time in cemeteries wishing to be among their own kind, so the dead.
Wow. What is possibly going on there with that, man? Like on a spiritual level?
I think
that is the most wild thing.
I mean, I think so. Like, let's talk about a minute. What do you think about psychological disorders, and these things that happen in the mind and are neurological and have to do with like what we think? Because this is clearly a mental disorder. What is the connection to, if you were to connect it to a spiritual aspect or give a spiritual explanation for why people have the walking corpse syndrome? Like, what do you think?
I was just trying to think about that. I mean,
like maybe some people need to experience that feeling of, I don't know, missing body parts or something. Like, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, the missing body parts thing is weird. I don't know.
Or like, I'm missing my brain. I feel like I'm missing my brain. So I'm like a zombie.
How are you functioning then? This is a very strange one.
I mean, it's a mental disorder. I mean, there's clearly enough people out there that suffer from this Cotard's delusion that
they can't recognize and associate emotions with faces, including their own. This causes complete emotional detachment and removes any sense of personal identity when looking at their bodies.
What? That's crazy. So they literally just see themselves as
they have medications to treat it too.
Piece of meat, almost like a piece of flesh.
That is so strange. I've never heard of that.
I wonder if it'd be interesting to talk to one of these individuals that has this and see if they're like clairvoyant or something, or they're psychic.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, maybe they feel some type of like insane connection, or maybe their soul isn't like completely like here.
Has
or
it
something.
come
like,
through or something weird?
I don't know. That is some I wonder what you guys think about that. Does anyone have any good like explanations for that one? Because that is
the
interesting.
walking corpse syndrome. What do you think? What is going on there? Like, I can't even imagine thinking that though. That'd be I feel like that'd be pretty scary to think about every day.
Yeah.
Thinking that you're like
with the dead.
I wonder if it's like visually looking at themselves, do they not see body parts? Or I think
that's the part that's really
or is it just how they
out.
feel it?
Huh. I have no idea.
That's really bizarre. That's really weird. This one's also really weird. The vampire syndrome. This one, actually a character in a show.
Xeroderma pigmentosum.
Good. Very good. That's exactly how it's pronounced.
Really?
So obviously we all need sunlight. We need the sun's warmth in order to synthesize vitamin D. Got to get that vitamin D.
Hell yeah.
But it can also damage the skin. The UV rays from the sun.
Yes, it can, folks.
Really mess you up.
It can.
So people that have this, which it's like 1 in 1 million people, have this vampire syndrome where they can't be in the sun.
Yeah, I've seen videos about these cases too. It's really sad.
They get like extreme sunburns.
Especially kids that have this because they like can't play with everyone. And it's like they have to wear such insane levels of sunscreen and wear a cover up and wear a hat. And like they have to be so covered. And then they'll like shed skin.
They can't. Their skin breaks down much quicker than the average person does when out, under UV rays.
They could get skin cancer incredibly easily.
Yeah, and I think isn't this what the guy from Better Call Saul, I forget his name, his brother did?
No,
he didn't actually have this, but it was where he was
in Better Call Saul. The guy has like some type of weird thing where he like can't have any electricity. Oh,
it's electricity.
Yes,
not the light.
No,
right.
So he like puts like aluminum up everywhere and turns everything off and lives in the dark. But that they hint in that's like a mental thing for him.
Right.
It's not like a real condition. But I don't think he can.
For some reason, I thought it was sunlight too, because he did like block up the windows. Like it was dark. It had to be dark in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it wasn't just electricity. I think it was light too, like because he. Yeah.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's a made-up thing. It's
all in his head. Yeah. But this next one is called elephantiasis
This is so sad. I can't believe this one. And okay, this picture, can we just talk about this picture for a second?
Sure.
If you're not watching this podcast, if you're listening instead, it's just a woman and she looks like a pretty average, body type up until her legs. And then she just has, it almost looks like tumors. Like it's just
They're enormous.
Insane. And it's, we'll talk about what it is. It's not just fat. It's like swelling.
The obstruction of lymphatic vessels
but
causes
this picture looks like
swelling.
old, like this was like an old medical thing. And they put a fucking blanket on her head.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like she's so hideous. They had to put a blanket on her head. I mean, maybe she was like, I want to protect my identity or something, but like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I was like,
sure
that's
it was something
so
like that,
rude.
But
yeah,
so I mean, I get the elephant thing, I guess, because the feet kind of look like
elephantitis.
feet.
Yeah,
But
and it
it's shitty
really
that that's
is
the
towards
name.
the feet. Yeah, and she looks really normal up atop. And then you can see that just something happens.
So in females, it can be the legs, but in men, it can actually be the testicles. Like, those, yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm
so
sure.
sad.
Yeah, dude, that's
I gotta
crazy.
see this.
No,
I'm gonna look
don't
it up.
look at it.
I'm gonna look it up.
It's so like the balls get really like enlarged, I
All right,
guess.
let's see this shit.
But this condition, which literally,
damn, we are not
Yeah.
putting this in.
no, dude, no, just look it
Oh
up.
my god. Oh my god, that poor person.
Oh god, that looks
Dude, I'm
horrible.
telling you, this guy's ball is bigger than his body.
Yeah. So think of like, the biggest pumpkin you can think of.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Look at this old picture.
Yeah, it's craziness, man.
Dude, I'm getting on some weird, I'm like about to
Some
get in the dark
Russian
web
bullshit,
right
yeah.
now.
It's really crazy though. I mean, it looks like a giant ball.
My god.
I mean, it is a giant ball. That's what it is.
So it's just a swollen ball.
But how it comes about is even more disgusting. And it can be brought about in different ways, but usually it's through a mosquito-borne parasite.
Dude, there's a whole tribe of guys that have this. Look at this.
Oh wow, yeah. There's
native
some type of
tribe
native
with
tribe.
huge nut sacks is what it says. I'm not.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, it's
So
huge.
And it's because it's a mosquito parasite, dude. That's what causes it. It's a fucking parasite.
Oh, and they all got it in
Yep.
this tribe.
Right, because
There's like a bunch of dudes and there's a bunch of like, can you see that, Janelle? Or have you seen it? I'm going to send it to the group chat.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Our other person who's in the group chat is going to be very confused.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Oh, Janelle sent one with a huge ball. There it is.
Shouldn't be laughing at this. This is horrible. These
No, it's
poor
not.
guys.
I know. It's not funny, but it's also kind of funny because they're nuts.
Oh my god. So they can sometimes do some surgery.
Yeah, can they
If
like
it
drain
affects-
it?
If it affects the testicles, they can do
God, these
surgery.
poor dudes. I can't imagine how painful that is. And this woman,
But the
my
people with the
God.
when it's like legs and limbs, there's nothing
Yeah.
they can do.
No, and I've seen tons of videos of people with it on their limbs. It's really, really sad. I don't mean to laugh about, we're having a
No.
funny ball moment, but this is very serious and very painful. So, I mean, I really feel for people that have this. There's over 40 million people have been affected by this condition. That's actually like pretty
It's
somewhat
elephantiasis, I think is how you say elephantiasis.
elephantiasis.
I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce it. It's
Jeez.
over 40 million people have been affected by the condition. So it's a lot of people that get. Because I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if there's these that's what's scary is these mosquito-borne viruses and parasites, man, can do some serious damage. It's really crazy, man. So this next one is called the alien hand syndrome.
Ooh.
So the phrase, the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing, is actually literally true for some people. The condition involves a rogue hand that acts independently, grasping objects or moving in a way contrary to what the individual wishes to do. Whoa.
So your hand like has a mind of its own.
A rogue hand, yeah.
So I feel like most people would be like, that's like the devil's possessed their hand.
Well, I think it's also like maybe even filling an additional hand or something.
That is really strange.
But definitely one hand just completely like is on its own, just does whatever
Does
it
what
wants. Sometimes a rare side effect of brain injuries or surgically severing the corpus callosum is the inability to control the actions of one hand. So it could be even, something from an injury that causes you to lose, sort of control over that one hand, which is weird. And there's no cure for it. But yeah, all you can do is keep it active. It's crazy, man. So this one is interesting because this kind of plays into another type of effect, medical student syndrome. So medical students, these future doctors are going through school learning about thousands of different diseases with various signs and symptoms
fucking learning
that
all
they're
stuff.
Oh, I know. I wonder every day. I'm like, how do these guys
I don't know how people do it. Like, I think you have to have a certain type of brain, and I definitely don't have it.
Oh yeah, you got to be able to have very good memory skills. Like you got to be able to, and comprehension, like understand shit, file it away, and be able to access it on demand. I think that's the skill.
And you have to remember it too. That's the thing, is like when I was taking tests in school, like I was remembering a lot of things, planning to just forget it as soon as I was done.
Well,
but you can't do that with medical school.
No.
You can't just dump all the information you just
imagine
learned.
if you're a doctor on the spot, like trying to diagnose somebody, and then you just like draw a blank. You're like, duh.
Well, you're going to go in there and be a resident, an intern.
Right. That's true.
And you're going to have to impress the residents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know stuff from Grey's Anatomy.
Oh my God. So this phenomenon occurs in some people that are studying to be doctors, and they believe they are experiencing the symptoms of a disease that they are studying. So as they're studying it, they're starting to feel the symptoms of this.
Dude, I can totally see how you would think that. I always think I have everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, isn't it kind of like the placebo effect in a way? Like, it's mind over body. Like if you're mentally thinking that you have these conditions, or, you're thinking constantly about a particular disease, that perhaps, your brain might start interpreting, causing you to feel some of the effects. Like if you're really studying it the way that a medical student would be doing. Like why, it's not like this happens to just anybody. It's medical students because they're studying a particular thing, or, trying to learn something, and then they're, all of a sudden feeling what they're learning, But yeah, it's unexplained, and, we don't know why it happens. It's really weird. This next one, though, is even weirder. It's called the Rip Van Winkle syndrome. Literally sounds like something out of a fairy tale, but it's far from
I know
that.
about this.
It's also known as the Klein-Levin syndrome, KLS. And this disease has only a few reported cases, and its psychological cause has not been confirmed.
I definitely remember hearing about this, but I don't remember what it is.
So, Stephen Meyer, at age 13, became a victim of KLS following an upper respiratory infection. Out of nowhere, his parents were unable to wake him up. When they finally did, he was completely incoherent. And after many tests, all of which were negative, Stephen was left with no answers. Even tests on brain activity showed no abnormalities. Stephen would go through sleeping spells of up to 22 hours a day for 10 to 20 consecutive days.
Damn, dude.
And as mysteriously as it appeared, it gradually disappeared in his 20s.
Wow.
Can you imagine
makes
being
you sleep a lot?
Yeah, like you're asleep for 22 hours, like for immense amounts of time.
You're just exhausted.
Well, we don't know why. We don't know why you go to sleep for that long. Like, there's nothing, like the tests don't show anything abnormal. So it's just normal, like for these particular individuals. Another case was a 17-year-old female from Pennsylvania experienced a sleeping episode that lasted 64 days.
Damn.
So it can literally go
Thanksgiving
days.
to January.
Mm-hmm.
She slept through the holidays. She was like, you know what? This shit's too stressful. I'm about to go sleep through the whole thing.
It's kind of smart, honestly. She slept 22 to 24 hours a day.
When she did awaken, she would eat and use the bathroom.
But she was sleepwalking.
Wow.
So still asleep, consciously
going on.
still asleep. So
in addition to this, you can experience increased appetite.
Well, yeah, because you're fucking asleep.
When are you going to eat? You're going to sleep all the time. How do you eat? What?
Yeah.
Hallucinations, childlike behavior, hypersexuality.
Interesting.
Huh.
And there's not much to signify what's going on with them. Like
then it just goes away.
Yeah.
Weird.
And there's only a couple theories about where this disease comes from, and it ranges from a virus to autoimmunity. But we don't know at the end of the day what it is. It's very weird. So this next one is called the Lazarus phenomenon. And I think this will be the last one for today's episode. So an 11-month-old girl in the intensive care unit at the University of Rochester Medical Center had been pronounced dead after aggressive cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR. 7 doses of epinephrine, 2 bags of fluid, and 4 shocks to her chest. After 2 minutes of this, the official time of death was called at 1:58 p.m. The girl's family was devastated and asked for her breathing tube to be removed so that they could have some time with their daughter. 15 minutes later, after she was pronounced dead, the tube was removed. Suddenly, the girl began to breathe spontaneously. Her heart began beating again, her color came back, and her gag reflex reappeared. The physicians had never seen anything like this.
The Lazarus phenomenon
is a rare occurrence in which patients experience a delayed return of spontaneous circulation after CPR has been stopped. So it's just a delay. So the CPR actually worked but then there's a delay in between everything kind of restarting and the person actually being dead, medically dead.
Does that even make sense? Maybe that's what's going on, or it's a damn miracle.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's called the Lazarus. You know why it's called the Lazarus phenomenon?
Yeah, that's a Bible thing, huh? Lazarus
was resurrected by Christ 4 days after his death. And this miraculous ability to come back to life seemingly continues to evade doctors. They have no idea why this happens. They really don't know. It could just be a reaction, or, maybe it's just a miracle. At the end of the day, it could just be a, miracle. Like, this doesn't happen that often. There's only a couple cases of it happening. Could it just be random, miracle in a sense? Because
that's what
to have that delay, usually like CPR, you come back when you're getting CPR.
Right, because that's the only thing that makes sense. There's what delay? Like, that's
what's the delay?
Thing.
Yeah, what's the delay happening?
That is super weird.
So it's like she dies.
That seems like a miracle to me.
Gets brought back. Yeah, essentially gets brought back from the dead because she should have been dead. And they thought she was dead. The doctor's like, she died at this time. And then later on comes back.
I've heard a bunch of things about stuff like that happening too.
Well, there's
after, everything.
I mean, we could even do like a whole episode just talking about near-death experiences
or just medical miracles.
Miracles even. Yeah, there's so much stuff out there.
Let us know if you guys enjoyed this episode as far as, talking about medical related stuff, because like we just said, there's a lot we could talk about. When we were looking up things for this, there's just endless cases. Yeah. So many interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, we're super interested in this stuff, so hopefully you guys are too. It's kind of a different topic for us, but we thought it was really interesting. There's so many different unexplained medical anomalies and just situations that have happened over time that we could talk about. So definitely let us know if you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you guys next week. Stay safe.
And stay woke.
See you guys next time.